People still argue whether it began at CERN or if CERN triggered something already waiting beneath reality. But every surviving witness describes the same thing. The flash, the spike, the thud. A burst of white light over Geneva, bright enough to cast shadows across half of Europe. Then silence. And then the electromagnetic shockwave hit. Not just Europe, the planet. Modern civilization died in under 6 minutes. Cars stalled mid-road. Aircraft dropped from the skies. Hospitals lost everything at once. Satellites blinked dead overhead like candles in a storm. Every major grid on Earth collapsed almost simultaneously. The internet vanished. Banking vanished. Communications vanished. Anything delicate enough to depend on advanced electronics simply was gone. Humanity went from quantum computing to scavenging candles almost overnight. And Europe? Oh Christ, man. Europe got the worst of it. The CERN event tore straight through the continent like reality itself had convulsed. The first reactors failed within hours, cooling systems dead, containment systems blind. One by one, nuclear plants across the north went critical as operators fled or simply lost control. France, Belgium, Germany, Western Russia, Russia. And eventually, the United States. The skies glowed for weeks. Millions died trying to escape south before the roads collapsed into refugee graveyards. Entire cities emptied on foot. Trains frozen dead on tracks. Borders meaningless within days. Then famine, then disease, then war, whatever kind of war it was. Some estimates say 2 billion died in the first 18 months after Geneva. But nobody knows for sure. No systems remain to count the bodies. Australia survived mostly because of distance, because it still mattered back then. We were far enough south and isolated enough that the radiation plumes weakened before reaching us properly. Our grids died, our satellites fell, but the continent itself remained habitable. Asia got it far worse. Anyway, the old world vanished. No refrigeration, no fuel production, no logistics, no medicine, except from what could be scavenged or relearned. Within a generation, humanity had fallen backwards centuries. Not quite the Stone Age, but close enough that old skills suddenly mattered more than degrees. Water purification, mechanical repair, farming, fishing, midwifery, and all the tradespeople who knew how to make things with their hands became more valuable than billionaires ever were. Not that they lasted very long in their little boat holes. Everybody knew where they were. They flushed them out, and it was brutal. And through all of it, the oceans grew louder. We survived because Australians are stubborn bastards. The coast kept on feeding us after the supermarket emptied. Fish, rainwater, trade routes along our roads, using bicycles and scavenged diesel. Communities formed around practical people, nurses, boaties, mechanics, old farmers, violent men who discovered violence wasn't as useful once bullets became impossible to replace. The surf club became our town hall. Half the solar panels still worked when they felt like it. We rigged mirrors to stretch daylight, water tanks leaked, nights belonged to candles and silence. And fear. Always fear. Everyone knew something lived offshore. Too many boats vanished, not storms, not bad weather, just gone. Then the whale carcasses started showing up, huge things blending with perfect geometric cuts through flesh and bone. From the headlands people saw lights in the Pacific, underwater, not ships, because there wasn't any. Not flares, Soft white shapes moving silently under black water, and after a while, nobody went near the ocean after dark anymore. The old UFO files came roaring back. Every blurry video, every conspiracy, every madman on late night radio sounding less insane than the politicians who mocked them. We started listening too late. That night, we sat outside a surf club, eating canned peaches and drinking hooch, when Maria's glass prisms started to rattle in the doorway. Soft at first, tiny clicks against each other, and then they stopped, dead. The cord rolled through us a second later. Everyone froze. Tom immediately grabbed his rifle, not dramatically, instinctively. Most of us were armed by then. Shotguns, spears, hunting rifles. One bloke carried a bloody machete everywhere after Brisbane fell apart. You survived by assuming strangers meant death. And anything coming from the sea at night? Definitely danger. The chord came again. Low. Ancient. I remember feeling it in my teeth. It was the weirdest thing. I really can't. It was just... It went through me, through my bones. Nobody spoke while we walked across the dunes to the beach. The stars overhead looked violent somehow, too sharp. Too many of them, since the orbital haze cleared after the burn-offs. The Pacific glowed faint blue with phosphorescence. And standing at the tide line were 3 figures. Tall, still, barefoot in the surf. Old Uncle Jimmy raised his rifle immediately. "Don't you move, mate." One of the figures turned towards us slowly. Even now, I struggle to describe them properly. They looked human, right up until you focused at them directly. Then something slipped sideways in your perception. I really... Like your eyes couldn't fully lock onto where they were standing. Not invisible, but just wrongly aligned, if that makes any sense. One held a dark bowl beneath their arm, blue-black like volcanic glass. They drew a wet finger round its rim. The chord deepened, and the sea answered. Far offshore, something enormous shifted between the phosphorescent water. You could see the glow moving, shape between the surface, bigger than any whale alive. Every single one of us stepped backward at once. Tom nearly fired. The figure holding the bowl spoke first. We wondered if anyone still listened. The voice hit strangely too, soft but resonant, like hearing someone speak through wood and water simultaneously. You could hear it in your head. "Uncle Jimmy, aimed properly now. Don't come any closer, mate." The figure stopped immediately, not offended, almost understanding. "You survived," they said gently. "Weapons are expected." That line chilled me more than the bloody ocean did, because it sounded practiced, like they'd seen civilization collapse before. I finally managed. "Who the fuck are you, mate?" The tallest tilted their head slightly. "We are the Kusharian." The words meant nothing to me. Seeing our confusion, they looked briefly towards the stars overhead. Others once called us weavers. Maria whispered, "The angels." The Kusharians smiled at that, not mocking, sad. "No," they said quietly. "You made angels from memory." The ocean pulsed again behind them. All 3 turned towards the water, listening. One of them spoke in a language that sounded almost musical, harmonic, mathematical. The chord shifted pitch, The thing beneath the ocean retreated. Not gone, just further out. And then came the line that still wakes me, sweating some nights. They are restless tonight. Tom swallowed hard. Who the fuck's out there? The Kusharian looked towards the horizon for a very long time before answering. An older answer to survival. Nobody knew what that meant. Part of me still doesn't. Then he looked at me, straight between the eyes. It was an eerie feeling. And then he said, "You need to relearn. Water filtration systems, ventilation chambers, crop rotation, mechanical designs, practical things. Not miracles, but knowledge." "We had filters before," I said carefully. "You had systems," the Kusharian corrected gently. "Systems fail, knowledge travels." Another removed a blue plate from beneath their cloak and handed it towards me. I nearly dropped it. The thing was warm, not electricity warm, but alive warm. It was, the strangest thing. Fine silver lines shifted slowly beneath its surface, like moonlight trapped under ice. The diagrams etched into it were impossibly precise. Engineering, medicine, chemistry, navigation, astronomy. It was like one of those old tablets, the big mobile phone things, and I just flicked through. Civilization compressed into a single object. Tom lowered the rifle slightly. "Why help us, mate?" For the first time, the Kusharian expression changed. And Christ, the sadness in it. Not pity, grief. Ancient grief. Because you are still becoming. The fire behind us crackled in the distance. The surf hissed softly. Far beneath the Pacific, something impossibly large moved again. The Kusharians sensed all of us tense. "You fear them," one observed. "Shouldn't we?" Tom snapped. A long silence followed. Then, "Yes." No comforting lie, no false assurance. "You should not remain near deep water after dark," one of them said. "What the hell lives down there, mate?" The three exchanged a glance. Then the first answered carefully, "Part of all of us lives down there." Nobody slept after that. The Kusharians stayed with us until dawn, teaching us. Just before sunrise, I asked the question burning through all of us. "Will you stay?" The Kusharian looked towards the grey line of dawn spreading over the Pacific. "We cannot." "Why not?" Again, they seemed uncertain. Then, "Because your species must remain human." And that answer haunted me more than anything else they said. As sunlight touched the horizon, they gathered their plates. The one with the bowl paused beside me. Up close, their eyes almost looked painfully alive, not superior, burdened. "You became loud," they said quietly. I frowned. What were you on about?" "For most of your history, humanity was silent. Then you split the atom, then you taught your machines to think." The ocean rolled once again behind them. "Now you are being noticed." A cold feeling ran through my chest. "By who?" "Who?" I was genuinely scared. The Kusharian looked towards the Pacific, then upward, then finally back at me. "By everything." No one spoke after that, because deep down, we knew they were right. They left walking north along the beach, three tall figures against the silver morning surf. No drama, no spaceships descended from cloud, just footprints in the wet sand. Tide erased them within minutes, and they were gone. I looked down at my hands. The plate remained. So did that strange vibration.